It's always there, waiting. That voice inside telling you tomorrow will be better, that you're not ready. Every day, another opportunity passes, and the gap between who you are and who you want to be widens. You want to move, but something holds you back. Fear, doubt, and comfort wrapped in hesitation. But you're not alone. Throughout time, others have felt this same pull into darkness. The Stoics, long ago, battled their own minds and found a way forward. Now, it's your turn to embrace their wisdom, to face what holds you down, and break free from the self-inflicted chains of sabotage. So start with our first lesson, which is silence the inner critic. Doubt as a prison. You sit down, ready to begin, but a voice speaks up. What if you fail? What if you're not enough? It's always there, that relentless inner critic. Doubt, disguised as self-preservation, chains you to inaction, holding you in a prison of your own making. Stoic philosopher Epictetus taught, man is disturbed not by things, but by the view he takes of them. Your mind convinces you that inaction is safety, but in reality, it's fear of the unknown. That critic? It's not a truth teller. It's the warden of your self-sabotage. What would happen if you silenced it? Imagine pushing that voice aside and moving anyway, despite the unease, the risk, the possibility of failure. Doubt thrives in silence and solitude, feeding off your hesitations. But Stoicism teaches us that doubt is a trick of the mind, a shadow that only grows when you stand still. Step forward, even if you're unsure. Each time you act, doubt's power over you weakens. Every step is a small rebellion against the prison you've built. The walls will crumble not with force, but with each choice you make to move forward despite the voice inside. Don't wait for the voice to quiet. Act while it's screaming and watch it fade. Second, the trap of comfort. Why familiarity breeds stagnation? Comfort is a trap, not a refuge. Each day you choose the familiar, thinking it will ease your burden, but it only builds new chains. Stoics understood this well, believing comfort is the enemy of progress. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts, and when those thoughts revolve around ease, procrastination becomes your new reality." Think about it. You delay because it's easier to sit in your familiar discomfort than to risk the unknown. But what if the very thing you avoid, discomfort, is the path to growth? Each time you choose the easy way, you're avoiding the discomfort that brings change. Imagine yourself standing in a room, every exit unfamiliar and unsettling. You stay because it's warm, because it's predictable, even though the air feels stale. Now picture yourself walking through that unknown door, cold at first, but with each step, you breathe deeper, freer. Comfort is your enemy, cloaked as safety. It holds you in a cycle of procrastination, convincing you that staying still is better than moving into uncertainty. True freedom comes from embracing discomfort. The moment you step into what scares you, the cycle begins to break. Every new challenge, every unknown path, brings you closer to the person you're meant to be. The Stoics knew this well. Comfort doesn't serve you, it chains you. Third, time is your nemesis. How delaying devours your future. You think you have time. That's the lie you tell yourself. Days stretch ahead like an endless horizon, and so you procrastinate, thinking there's always tomorrow. But tomorrow never comes. Seneca warned, while we waste our time hesitating and postponing, life is slipping away. Every minute you delay is a future you're sacrificing. You sit down, ready to start, but you tell yourself it can wait. One day turns into two, and soon the task has grown monstrous in your mind. You push it further away, thinking more time will ease the burden, but instead, it multiplies. Procrastination devours your future 1 minute at a time. What if you saw time for what it is, your greatest enemy? Every moment spent in delay is one you'll never reclaim. The Stoics believe that time is the most valuable resource, far more precious than wealth or power. Each day is a gift, but it slips through your fingers while you hesitate. Stop thinking of time as abundant. Think of it as fleeting. When you embrace the urgency of now, procrastination loses its power. The clock is always ticking, and every second spent in delay feeds the cycle of doubt and inaction. Don't let time be your master. Seize control of it by acting in the present, before it's too late. Fourth, the fear of failure. How avoiding mistakes leads to bigger regret. Failure terrifies you. It whispers in your ear, telling you it's better to not try at all than to try and fall short. And so you delay, postponing the moment of risk, thinking that by avoiding action, you can avoid the sting of failure. But the Stoics knew that the real failure is in never beginning. Epictetus said, "He who fears death will never do anything worth of a man alive." Substitute death for failure, and you see the truth. When you fear failure, you are already dead in the water. By avoiding mistakes, you guarantee one thing: regret. Regret for the things left undone, the chances not taken, the potential left to rot. Consider this. The pain of failure is temporary, but the weight of regret is eternal. Each time you choose to delay in fear of a mistake, you're choosing a life half-lived. The Stoics embraced failure as a teacher, not a destroyer. The more you fear it, the more power it holds over you. What if you shifted your thinking? What if failure wasn't something to avoid, but something to embrace? Each misstep is a lesson. Every setback is a chance to recalibrate. The real tragedy isn't in failing, it's in never trying at all. Procrastination feeds on the fear of failure, but action, no matter how flawed, frees you from its grip. Fifth, the false refuge of distraction. How you're hiding from yourself. You pick up your phone, scroll through social media, maybe even dive into a new series. Distraction feels harmless, a brief escape. But what are you really escaping from? Deep down, you're hiding from the tasks that matter, from yourself. Seneca's warning echoes. To be everywhere is to be nowhere. Distraction is a shield you hold up, deflecting responsibility, avoiding the hard work that would move you forward. Each moment you spend lost in distraction is another moment stolen from your potential. But what if you realize that this refuge isn't protecting you? It's trapping you. The Stoics understood that the battle isn't against external distractions, but internal ones. It's not about the phone or the show. It's about your avoidance of the discomfort that real progress requires. Distraction is a sedative, numbing you to the hard truth that the longer you avoid the work, the further you drift from your goals. Imagine standing before a mirror, facing the person you are and the person you could be. Distraction keeps you from ever truly confronting yourself. It lulls you into complacency, making you believe there's always more time, more chances. The real power comes from reclaiming your focus. Each moment you choose to act, to resist distraction, you grow stronger. The fight isn't out there, it's within. When you stop hiding, you start becoming. Sixth, self-sabotage through perfectionism. How the need for flawlessness paralyzes you. Perfectionism whispers, if it's not perfect, it's not worth doing. And so, you wait. You tell yourself that the timing isn't right, that you need more preparation, more skill. But the truth is, perfectionism isn't about high standards, it's about fear. The Stoics knew that perfection was an illusion, a trap that keeps you frozen in place. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Your pursuit of perfection is the very thing stopping you from progress. The need to get it just right has you paralyzed, unable to move, constantly revising, never satisfied. Perfectionism is just another form of procrastination. You convince yourself that waiting for the perfect moment is productive, but in reality, it's delaying the inevitable. No moment will ever be perfect. No effort will ever be flawless. And that's okay. The Stoics embraced imperfection. They understood that life is messy, that progress is born in the struggle, not in the perfect execution. When you let go of the need for flawlessness, you free yourself to act, to learn, to grow. Each imperfect step forward is worth infinitely more than the perfect step never taken. Stop striving for an impossible standard. Accept the mess, embrace the mistakes, and move forward. Perfection is the enemy of progress. The sooner you abandon it, the sooner you'll break free from its paralyzing grip. Seventh, the power of acceptance. Confronting the reality you avoid. You've avoided it long enough. The task before you feels overwhelming, daunting, so you delay. You tell yourself that maybe if you wait, things will change, get easier. But deep down, you know they won't. The Stoics had a word for this, amor fati, the love of fate. They taught that the first step to overcoming any challenge is accepting reality as it is, not as you wish it to be. When you avoid reality, you give it power. The task looms larger in your mind, becoming more monstrous with each passing day. But the Stoics believe that by confronting reality head-on, we reclaim our power. As Marcus Aurelius said, accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the people with whom fate brings you together. Imagine standing on the edge of a storm, afraid to step into the rain. You hesitate, waiting for the storm to pass, but it only grows stronger. The moment you step forward, though, you find it wasn't as terrifying as you thought. You were stronger than the storm. The same applies to the challenges you avoid. Acceptance is not defeat. It's the first step to victory. When you face reality, you strip away its power to control you. Each time you accept what is, you take one step closer to overcoming it. It's not about changing the world. It's about changing how you respond to it. Eighth, the courage to begin. Small steps to shatter paralysis. The hardest part is always the beginning. The task feels too big, the mountain too high. You tell yourself you'll start when you're ready, when you've prepared enough, when you've gathered the strength. But the truth is, there's never a perfect time to begin. The Stoics knew this well. They taught that action, no matter how small, is the antidote to paralysis. Seneca advised, begin at once to live, and count each separate day as a separate life. Every day you delay, you give power to your fear, letting it grow until it seems insurmountable. But what if you took one small step today? Not a leap, not a grand gesture, just a tiny action. Imagine standing at the base of a towering cliff, overwhelmed by the height. You could stand there for hours, days, years, waiting for the courage to climb. But what if you simply took the first step? Just one. The cliff wouldn't seem so high anymore. That's the secret to breaking the cycle of procrastination. It's not about summoning the strength to do it all at once. It's about taking one small, manageable step, and then another. Each step forward chips away at the mountain, and before you know it, you've begun. The hardest part isn't finishing, it's starting. Once you take that first step, the rest becomes easier. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the willingness to act in spite of it. Ninth, the myth of motivation. Discipline as your greatest ally. You're waiting for the right feeling, for motivation to strike. But what if it never comes? The Stoics knew that motivation is a fleeting emotion, a spark that flickers and dies. They believed in something much stronger, discipline. Epictetus said, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. Motivation may get you started, but it won't carry you through. Discipline, however, will. The problem with waiting for motivation is that it's unreliable. Some days it will be there, pushing you forward, but more often than not, it won't. And on those days, what will you do? Will you give in to the pull of procrastination? Or will you push through because you've built the habit of action? Imagine waiting for the perfect wave to surf, standing on the shore, hoping the sea will cooperate. But the Stoics would tell you to paddle out, regardless of the conditions. Don't wait for the wave. Create your own momentum. Discipline isn't about doing what's easy. It's about doing what's necessary, even when you don't feel like it. Every day, you have the choice to act, regardless of your emotional state. The more you exercise discipline, the stronger it becomes. And soon, you won't need motivation to get started. You'll have something far more powerful, a habit of taking action. 10th, the liberation of responsibility. Owning your actions to break free. It's easier to blame the world, to point to outside circumstances and say, this is why I haven't started. But the Stoics would tell you that true freedom comes not from external change, but from internal responsibility. Marcus Aurelius wrote, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Self-sabotage thrives when you refuse to take ownership. Every time you delay, every time you avoid, you tell yourself it's someone else's fault, too much pressure, not enough time, bad luck. But the moment you take responsibility for your actions, everything changes. You're no longer a victim of circumstance. You're in control. Imagine being chained to a heavy stone, dragging it behind you wherever you go. You curse the weight, the burden, wishing it would disappear. But what if you realize the chain is in your hand? and you've had the power to let go all along. Taking responsibility is the key to liberation. It's not about blaming yourself, it's about empowering yourself. When you own your choices, you reclaim your agency. Self-sabotage loses its grip because you're no longer looking for an escape. You're owning the outcome. Freedom doesn't come from avoiding responsibility. It comes from embracing it. The moment you stop pointing fingers and start taking control, you break free from the cycle of procrastination and doubt. The chains you thought were holding you down, they were always in your mind. The cycle of procrastination and doubt is not invincible. It's broken the moment you choose to act, despite the fear and hesitation. The Stoics taught us that control begins within. Once you silence the distractions and stop waiting for perfection, you'll realize how much power you've always had. Every step forward makes you stronger, more resilient. There's always more to uncover. If this resonated with you, there's a lot more waiting in our other videos. Go deeper, push harder. Be sure to like, subscribe, and keep exploring. The next video could be the one that sparks your greatest transformation.